What kind of spicy food specifically?
Beef patties.
Beef patties. Ah, the
Gucci gang,
classic. The classic.
of course.
Hmm.
Yoink.
Anyways, welcome back to another episode of Meeting Your Mentors.
Hi.
This week I've been mentally drained, so Xavier,
Sam.
take it
Yep.
over. Take it over, Xavier.
All right. I got this. So we got a new guest today, a new mentor. And I feel like they should introduce themselves. So go on ahead. The spotlight's yours.
Alrighty. My name is Sydney. I'm obviously in grade 12. I'm a member of core chaplaincy, and I also am the student leader of Spectrum at CA.
Well, hey, let's
Oh,
go.
A very decorated core mentor, if I do so myself.
Very much so.
oh. Thank you.
So unfortunately, my partner here is mentally incompetent and incapable right now. So
Yes, I am a single-celled organism right now.
things already, but talk to us, Sydney. Talk to us. Talk. Just general stuff.
How's life been?
Exactly. Yeah. Stuff like that.
Well, I guess I'll go, but life's really stressful. School, piling on the homework. Apparently, March is a very important month. I don't know about
Very.
you.
Oh my god. I don't know. I don't know. For me, at least in English, we're in the same English class. Um, I'm not a huge fan of these big assignments back to back to back. Not the biggest fan.
Yeah.
Um, it was a little bit of a killer. I'm gonna be honest.
Hmm.
But
I feel
but
for you
like
guys.
a yearbook, I mean, I'm a bit indifferent about this, but like his yearbook, that's just like a mess. A social experiment and a half. Like
Oh
it's not even
boy.
like assignment week after week. It's like assignment day after day, and yeah, it's a lot. It's a very fun mini game. It's a very fun mini game. But yeah, sorry. Back to you.
He seems to have muted
Yes,
himself.
I had to mute myself because the gremlin walked in. Now, what? Something. Oh no, man.
Well, so, I've
I'm
come
in a
to the conclusion
shambles
that
right now.
you actually just suck at math because I was talking to Peter today because today's stress down day. Has
Yeah,
laxity, right? He's
yeah.
calculus. He says he said calculus is light, and he didn't even give me any information about it. He just said it's light. So I've come to the conclusion that you actually just suck at calculus.
That may just be the case.
It's
I
come
don't
down to
know.
It
it's gone like
I
I feel
haven't.
like
may just be the case.
maybe.
Oh no, I had something I wanted to say, but it just like my mind has blanked again.
Listen, here's the thing, right? Why worry about calculus when you don't even have to take a math? Yeah,
Yay! Good
what
job,
can I say?
buddy.
It's just too lit. I
Truly
don't know what to tell you.
elite.
I am just
What?
a different breed. I know there's someone out there who is like on the same wavelength as me, and then to you, air high five. We're better than them because we didn't take a math or science. Yes, sir.
Actually, I finally remembered what I was gonna say.
Uh huh.
You know how last time we said March is completely useless now
Yes.
without
Yes.
without March break?
Yes.
They just made it worse because apparently everyone is getting 17,000 assignments.
Huh? Oh yeah. I thought you were being serious about that. I'm like, wait a minute.
It's
Um,
true. It's literally
yeah.
true.
Nothing good comes out of this month.
Nothing good
Absolutely not.
comes out of this
Nothing.
month.
We lost
Absolutely.
March break and we gained homework. You
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
It's a literally loss after loss, bro.
Continuous L's.
All I'm saying is April is the come the come up month. I feel like me and Cindy can come to a very synonymous agreement on this.
I
Um, you know what I mean?
Aries will rise. You know.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then the earth signs make their return. It's an overall great month. You know what I mean? Like what's it called? I was born in it. Sydney was born in it. It's peak spring. May. In my opinion, May is just extended April. You know what I mean? Like real talk,
It's
May should
finally
just be
getting warm
renamed.
in April too.
Oh my, bro, it hits. I was told that it hit 17, but I was outside. It was like 12. But like, oh my gosh, warm, amazing weather, no
Finally.
jacket required.
Finally.
Oh my,
Oh boy,
it
it's
felt
about to
amazing.
rain
It felt
actually.
amazing. The wind was a bit annoying because the wind was a bit annoying because
Just
I was having a
whooshing in your
I was having a
ears.
conversation exactly. I was having a conversation about anime, and I was having a bit of conversation about anime today, and you could say like I took like a hot take, and then the wind just decided to like blow my jacket hood like over my like, bro, I get it. I just made a take that you just weren't ready for.
Even nature
Anyways,
wasn't ready for that.
exactly. Like Ace is a shit character. Honestly, oh my lord, from One Piece. Okay. Anyways,
Hey,
um,
okay, Ace from One
I'm
Piece. Okay.
okay. What was I saying? Oh yeah, warm weather is really nice. In April, it just gets better. And
Mm-hmm.
only that, not only do we got warm, we got the rain. And don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Rain, you can't really go outside in the rain, but you can go outside in the rain if you're one of those kind of people.
If you're
And
one of
let
those
me tell you.
people, yeah.
Yeah.
Listen. I can low key, I can say I'm one of those kind of people. Like it's not like the like rain, water everywhere. Like if you step
Sprinkling
outside,
rain.
you're like exact sprinkling rain. It's nice. It's pretty to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Afterwards, when it gets
Refreshing.
sunny, it's refreshing. There's a rainbow in the sky. It's pretty. Like like you can't name a single bad thing about April. Like sure allergies, but just get over them.
Hey, man, it's just
Just
allergies.
it's just allergies.
Just say no to the allergies. It's easy.
Take,
Exactly.
you'll live.
Exactly. You'll
Exactly.
live. So there's no problem. I like
April
name a
really
bad
do
thing
be
about
the happiest month of the year.
exactly. Like
Yep.
I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. Like there's zero bias here. Zero bias, zero feelings, 1000% fact.
Mm-hmm. As bad as March is, though, at least one good thing is coming out of it. Canada is finally catching up and starting to vaccinate people.
Oh, thank God.
Finally.
I completely forgot about that. I'm gonna be
It's
completely
starting
honest with you.
tomorrow, actually. They're opening
Oh
up centers
shoot!
tomorrow
Oh,
for the
Nah,
for the
it's actually
majority
lit.
of people.
It's actually lit. Oh my.
We kind of got shafted though. We're not getting none in Brampton or Mississauga yet. No centers.
Wait, Toronto mans get it first?
Toronto mans get it first.
I hate it here. I'm leaving Dubai.
the discrimination.
Exactly.
Actual agony, bro.
We're getting discriminated on a whole location based like bias. It's horrible.
This is the worst time to live in Brampton, but like,
Is it ever good to live in Brampton though?
listen,
Is
when
it?
you're in Canada, you're living in like one of three places. Brampton, no, I would say four. Brampton, Toronto, Scarborough, or what's that?
BC,
No, not BC. What's like the place where all the what's it called? It's like mainly white people.
Oshawa,
Woodbridge,
Woodbridge.
Woodbridge. You're either Brampton,
Oh.
Toronto, Scarborough, or
What?
Woodbridge. There's like another one, but like I don't know what
I
it's
was
called.
just
I'm gonna
starting to
go
think of
Woodbridge.
places all the way up north, and you just randomly pull out
Georgetown.
Woodbridge.
Like bro, Georgetown. Hold on, I forget what it was. But like, so listen, right? So I forget what I was gonna say, and I remember. Hold on, pause. So I was on Google Maps one day
Mm-hmm.
because I was talking to my friend. I'm like, where the hell? Like, what's it? Because TLDR.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, they live mad far. And I'm like, okay, how mad far? And they're like, oh, it's like a 30-minute drive. I'm like, okay, bet. And then I see where they are. They're like west of Toronto, right?
Yeah.
But like past that, farmland forever. Farmland forever. I'm like, where is that? And I'm like, I'm just slandering them because you live in the middle of nowhere. Literally, why? But like, I've never heard of these places ever. I think there's like, I don't even remember the names. It was like on the same levels of Georgetown. It was like McNutt Crescent. I'm like, what is that?
What?
Oh,
McNutt Crescent, or what's it called? Cherry Tree Drive. I'm like, damn, the government really popped off on these names. They really popped off. Like on it,
yep.
like they. Oh my gosh, they had to chill there,
I
bro.
mean, it's better than before. I swear, there's like a city or like a location in Ontario called that used to be called Stalin.
Okay, listen. When I was going for volleyball, when I was doing volleyball training, I think it was like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I was in Mississauga, so I drove down there. There's a street called Kaiser Road. And don't get me wrong,
Kaiser.
that I have a huge anime bias.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, so it's spelled Kaiser. That
Mm-hmm.
was like the coolest street name I have ever seen in my life. I don't care. I want to live on Kaiser Road. Like I don't know. Like all those people living there, they're not me. Like
True.
I don't. I feel like that's just clout waste.
You would
That's
probably
waste of time.
embody Kaiser the best.
Exactly. Like all I'm saying is, everyone forward. The party's on Kaiser Road, and don't need to say anything else. You know where it's at. It's like
It-
that's what I'm saying. Anyways, yeah, that's my
So
rant
what's
on.
okay then on this topic? What's the coolest road you've ever seen, Sydney?
I don't even know. I don't travel much. I can't say the coolest road I've ever seen, but I can say the coolest road sign.
Go for it.
Down south towards Niagara, every time we pass it, I have to do a double take. It's called the Organized Winery. And I don't know about you, but every time I see this sign, I'm thinking like, this is the mafia, but like they're advertising.
Did you say organized crimery?
It's the Organized Crime Winery. Like you go and like it's a vineyard.
So
You
yeah,
can go, you can membership.
is that like are they just saying free mafia here?
Honestly, that's what I think.
This winery is exclusive to the mafia.
Listen.
Yeah.
They can't listen. Unlike other mafia shows, like you're not gonna catch the mafia. Like everyone's thinking like the mafia's like what's it called? Some what's it called secret organized gang with like secret passcodes and whatnot. The like you're never gonna find them in plain sight. Like okay, so for example, I was watching this show on Netflix, Lupin. You might have heard of it. Honestly, I'm
Okay.
really loving it. I'd recommend it if you got if you got Netflix. If you got a pirating website, do it. It's worth it.
Okay.
Basically, the whole idea is that it takes off of, black family, black kid loses his father, and he passes down a book about Arsene Lupin,
Mm-hmm.
which is which is like, I think it's like I forget the words, but I forget who the person is, and I'm trying to like relate him to. But long story short, he's just a really he's like the mix of like a really good magician, but
Yeah.
also like a Robin Hood esque kind of thing. Not necessarily in morals, but like with how well he can get away with his tricks.
Okay.
Damn.
And there's just one scene where he took, he what's what I'm looking for? He kidnapped a commissioner. He kidnapped a commissioner of the police who plays an important role in the plot. I'm not gonna spoil it for those who want to watch it, but um he gets the getaway driver. He I'm not gonna say he tricks the getaway driver, but from the police's perspective, it looks like the getaway driver drove like a couple 500 miles, and then he's like, and then they thought he had a plan to drive somewhere else. It's like, no, we never left. We just drove around the corner and parked in the garage. Like, what stupid person?
What?
What stupid person would kidnap the guy and keep him in the same building? And this is the same logic that the organized crime winery have. You know what I mean?
Hide in
Like,
plain sight.
you're not exactly like, why would the mafia be right in front? All I'm saying is, I don't know what I'm saying, but like they're geniuses. They're geniuses. Branding 100.
Listen, if it's
I was gonna
so
say marketing.
obvious, no one will suspect it.
Exactly.
You were saying, Sydney?
Oh no, I was just completely agreeing. Like even it has like a picture on the side of it, with like a man and women in like suits, and like they look like they're up to some shit. So I just think their marketing scheme, amazing.
Mm-hmm. Like I said,
What about you,
hide in
Dante?
plain sight. The coolest place I've ever seen. I live under a rock. I never leave. I don't know. I can't think of anywhere cool.
Yo, real talk. Can we just talk about the dumbest roads I've ever seen?
Xavier's
Hold on.
house, actually. Because I pulled an LR there and stole all his luck.
Okay, shut up. Okay, listen.
What?
I don't. Please stop it. He pulled a really rare character in a video game. Now I'm very
Yeah.
upset because I don't get the good characters anymore. I'm very upset. Anyways.
Okay, go on.
No, we'll keep talking about the dumbest roads of everything. So like I'm in the roundabout. I was gonna say to call it the loop-de-loop, but like I don't know.
That's
Okay.
a pretty good description of it, actually.
Exactly, it's a loop-de-loop, but like it's a one circle loop-de-loop. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so, on my way to school, like on the way from my house to school, I can go through a neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
And you know how like in France and in like London, I'm not talking about London, Ontario. I'm talking about London.
England.
I was gonna say London, Britain. London, England. Thank you for the correction. My geography is 1 trillion right now. Anyways, so like, what in that neighborhood? It's nowhere near the size it's nowhere near the size of like the big one that can like fit like a bunch of
Yeah.
cars in several lanes. No, this one is like to give you an idea, if you were to park 4 cars in a square, those 4 regular cars, that is how big the circle is. It is by far the dumbest
What's even the point of it
decision
at that point?
ever. I don't know. It's usable. Listen. I went on the bus when I go. So there's a bus I used to take, 36.
Yeah.
When it goes on it, it rides on top of it
It's
because
that,
it's so.
it's
yes.
that thin.
Yes.
Oh my god.
It rides on top of it. That doesn't make any sense.
This is what happens when architects go to Zoom University.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Jaunty,
Hmm?
please.
Hello.
Don't-
Yes. What?
Don't
Oh
do
shoot!
it.
Wait.
Jaunty.
That was not something I knew. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
No. It's jaunty slander.
That's fine. No, listen.
On
Jaunty
you.
slander is completely allowed.
On me, if I find out another circle roundup, I don't care if your name is on it. If the moment I see one on a new road, I'm so sorry. You're catching a brick through your window. You're catching a brick through your window with a very strongly worded message. A very strongly worded message.
Don't worry about it.
With a big frick you on it, okay? In very big bolded letters.
I'll help abolish tiny roundabouts.
As you should. As you should. Dumbest idea I've ever thought of.
That does sound very inefficient.
Oh my god, this one was so
Just put an intersection. Why do you need a roundabout?
I don't know. Like, listen, if we're not going big, literally go home. Literally go home.
Exactly.
Literally go home. Nobody wants you here.
All right, I guess we should get on to the main, the sustenance of this year podcast today. Spectrum. I heard you guys have been having some issues.
Oh boy, getting straight to it. Yeah, I guess you could say that. We've had a little bit of a few issues with getting some stuff approved, which is always fun when I'm writing proposals like every second day.
Mm-hmm.
Just for the down. Your thoughts?
Sounds unfair.
All I'm saying is I definitely got to give you props for what you do. Not only you, but all the other Spectrum members.
Thank you.
Or Spectrum members and admin, because I'm not gonna say what's it called. Let me word this properly.
Think about it for a second.
I'm gonna think about it for a minute. Done. So the resilience that you I don't know if resilience is the right word I'm looking for.
Perseverance.
The perseverance to deal with the board's BS 24/7 just to get what's it called? Just not just to educate the masses is something like I have to applaud you for. Because if it were me, I would have been, and I'm not saying that you guys aren't, because like I feel like for the most part you guys are just equally as frustrated as I am when I hear this. But
I believe it.
but the fact that you like what's it called? Keep sending what's it called? Proposal after proposal. What's it called? Keep you're bending to the board's will, but what's it called? You're meeting a middle ground when the middle ground is starting at ground zero. But the fact that you're still able to make progress despite the board just just being absolutely annoying and let's we're low key if the board if somebody from the board came out of super straight, I wouldn't be surprised. But
oh boy, no, we're not getting on.
That whole thing is the most confusing thing I've ever heard.
But anyways, I'll be going on my random yes tangents. What's it called? I just have to. Gotta give you Gotta give you guys props for doing what you do. Educate, please, and please don't stop doing what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys are definitely moving mountains with the work that you do.
Mm-hmm.
When you said ground zero, you have no idea when we say ground zero. I feel like there are no supports built for our kind of group, or I can't name names. Just in general, there's really a lack of representation, which is what bothers me the most, because I feel like it's so painful to go through school and for people not to see themselves represented, that be their gender identity, their sexuality, race, religion. And I feel like that's really important, that we need to push for representation, and that's what we're trying to do. But we get pushback just because of the nature of our group. But there are those people that you run into that are really good allies, that are working with us, especially the Spectrum teachers. Bless their souls. Mainly for putting up with me, but also just helping push the message of the group, which is just that everyone should feel accepted and no one should feel othered just because they might not be what society wants them to. You know what? Yeah, life and the group, so much fun. We have some stuff we're working on. I haven't announced it officially yet, but we're working on a little bit of a fundraiser. Hopefully something
Can
soon.
we get a little teaser for what it could be?
Not Covenant House, I guess. We're looking at a donation on behalf of Spectrum to Covenant House, and we will be putting out a video, hopefully next week, explaining what the donation is and encouraging students to make further donations on their own behalves. And we're also getting some sweaters done.
I heard about that. Minardi
Yeah.
mentioned it
Spectrum
earlier.
drip? Okay.
Some
We're gonna have
Spectrum
drip.
drip. It
No,
better
Josh,
be so
have
clean.
you need the logo. Let me tell
Listen,
you, Josh.
let
I'm
me
not
see
gonna
this logo. I haven't seen it
Bro,
yet. Let me see
the
it.
logo.
Show me.
Do you have
Hold
it, Xavier, or do I?
I think you got it. I think you gotta get it. But like, I'm scrolling. Hold up. Do I got it? No, I got it. Don't even worry. I got it.
Bro,
You got
send it,
it?
send it, send it. Come
Thank
on.
you.
Come on, send it, send
Because
it.
I was gonna
Let's
have to
see
go
this.
through
Keep
my.
the logo.
Okay!
Tell me you wouldn't rock a sweater like that. Tell me.
Okay, that's
Tell me.
clean!
Honestly.
Look at
Oh.
that!
Listen. That's just. Oh my
Who designed that? Because that's amazing.
That's Diana.
That's clean right there.
Yeah, so this is a design by Diana Carnevale. She's also in Spectrum and Core, grade 12. So she based this design off a design that was made a few years ago by another Spectrum student named Richie. He's since graduated. But Diana kind of refreshed the design, made it a little more colorful to make sure that it would appear better on the sweater. And here we are now with our new logo.
That I rate that highly. I rate that so
So,
highly.
I have a question. In
Go ahead.
regards to the logo, how? No, I'm not gonna say how would you feel. In regards to pushing the idea of getting different types of different forms of this logo with like different flags for transsexuals, bisexuals, um, you know, all the different flags. What's it called? Do you think that'd be possible this year, or
I'm
would that be like a future initiative?
I'm 100% down for that. Whenever I would have to reach out to Diana because I unfortunately do not know how to edit things.
Hmm.
But um, as with our sweaters, though, our sweaters we're looking to make it so that depending on your identity, you can actually color. We're gonna be tie dyeing our sweaters, so that's a
Oh,
trick that
Okay,
none of the other
okay.
clubs are gonna have. Just saying.
of course.
course,
You know,
yeah.
we gotta stand out. So we're looking to make sure that we have dyes so that if anyone wants to do a custom identity sweater, instead of just doing the default rainbow sweater, because that's just the default colors we're gonna be purchasing, if
Mhm.
somebody, let's say, wants to do the flag, we will have the colors available to them to do that pattern on their
Hmm.
sweater. So
Oh,
we are trying to make it inclusive and make sure that anyone can represent themselves.
I like that.
Okay.
Let me tell you, the tie-dye sweater idea. That is an amazing idea. Literally, no other club's doing that. It's like, I'm not gonna say boring, but it's just solid color. Solid color. Some stripes here, like a big logo or big name, big title for the club. Nah, they go. Listen, Spectrum got a sick name, a sick logo, and we're tie-dye,
You
and
gotta
you're tie-dyeing your
stand up
sweaters.
and stand out.
We got
Literally. Oh my god, y'all are really doing. Y'all are doing the most, and I love it.
Okay, I have a question. So,
Go ahead.
you know how you said you wanted to cover every. How would you word it?
Every what? I'm so sorry.
Identity.
Like every flag. I'm gonna say every flag,
Okay.
right? Is there like an
Um,
all-encompassing flag that exists?
There's not necessarily an all-encompassing flag. The general rainbow flag is just meant to represent the community, the larger
Hmm.
LGBTQ plus community, because each identity has their own flag.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people interpret that the rainbow flag just stands for gay, lesbian. It
Mm.
doesn't actually. It began that way, but um, there is a individual lesbian flag and there is an individual gay male flag actually. So the rainbow is kind of what we're using to be all encompassing of the entire community.
Okay.
I had no idea there was a gay male flag. That is news.
That is news to me as well. Yeah.
There is, and it's very pretty.
How many people?
Peak game real quick. Let's see this.
Oh, I like these colors.
Put it in the chat.
Yeah.
Put it in the chat. Let me see this.
So hold on. Correct me if I'm right, because like what's it called? I just like the first thing I saw in Google Images. However,
No worries. I think there's a few different I think that's the one. There are a few different versions of
Damn.
most flags, but I
like,
believe that's it.
okay. But like,
That's
oh my god, I'm loving
some
the
nice
color.
looking.
I'm loving the colors.
The color scheme is nice.
I like, oh my gosh. Oh my god.
Are these all variants of the same one, or are these different flags?
These are the first three, because the first one
Oh,
is
okay.
the first one is just like this. The first one that came up, and then the next one is the next one, or the full blue one. That's
I
gay,
believe
and
it's
then the
the
next
first
one,
one.
the
Okay.
last one I saw was gay man. But yeah, like regardless, it's like those are
Those
really
are
cool
nice. Those are very nice.
Oh yeah, like hey, if you're gay, man, yo, rep these
Rep
color,
it.
rep it, bro.
You
Oh
you
my
got some nice
god,
color schemes.
hell
A little
yeah.
bit. If there's anything identities know, it's that they know how to choose a good color palette.
Yo, that's actually facts, bro.
Like-
That's facts.
Single flag and tell me it's not pretty.
Well, let me just peep the bisexual flag really quickly. Like y'all understand. I
Drop
got
it.
listen, listen,
Drop
listen,
it in the chat.
listen. All I'm saying is all these colors slap.
Yes.
The colors do slap. I'm just gonna say that pink is very jarring compared to that purple.
It
It
is.
is. It is
Um,
bright. It is very bright.
It's bright as fuck.
But you know, we appreciate it.
Oh yeah, we appreciate. Oh yeah, you know, all I'm telling you is, listen, watch me pull up to grad, with what's it called? With I was gonna say grad.
A
Let me pull up to
three-piece
grad with
suit in
my
these colors.
yes sir, not even grad, prom,
Oh.
If we
bro,
have
bro,
one,
bro, you already-
knock on wood, please.
I don't think I can knock on wood.
Please.
But like, let me pull up the problem because like, the whole idea is I'm gonna have like a blue suit anyways. It's gonna be fairly. It's gonna be blue. They're on the navy blue side. Well, listen, I'm gonna put with the handkerchief on the inside. It's gonna be the flag, of course, right? It's gonna have the pink side showing up. Oh my gosh. Oh my
No
god.
way.
I'll be
Okay,
drippy.
okay.
Fuck, bro. I don't know.
Dripped out.
That's the motive. That's the motive. That's the motive.
I like it.
As you should.
Mm-hmm. Still a little bit jarred by the pink. Very, very bright. Everything else, amazing.
I mean, I'm sure if you put like a filter on it, a little muted.
Yeah,
I
like,
think
maybe muted a little bit. Put it like maybe a pastel pink.
Ooh.
That wouldn't be bad actually.
Mm.
I'd be done. Yo, my dad's about to open Photoshop like after this. I actually try that.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure there's pastel versions of most flags.
That's actually pretty sick though. Yeah.
So you mentioned it earlier, but would you care to get into the whole quote unquote super straight nonsense that's been going on?
Do you
Oh.
want Xavier?
That's amazing right there. That looks great.
That's pretty, but to me that kind of looks a little too much like the trans flag.
Yeah.
Mm.
So like maybe not as strong of a filter,
Mm-hmm.
just to make sure that it still looks, unique.
Unique, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways. So I can't wait to tell this to my kids. Like, oh my god.
Long ago.
Long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, because Canada isn't actually a part of North America.
5 meters down the street. All right.
5 meters down the street in Woodbridge, a very, very, very intelligent human being who was quite afraid of transsexuals declared that he would create a new sexual identity for the heterosexuals who are quite literally horrified of transsexuals. And not only did he make this statement, but they also deemed they are part of the LGBTQ plus community. The biggest brain people I've ever seen in my life.
Can I just talk about that?
Go on.
The whole thing about how they're trying to insert themselves into the community is the biggest Uno reverse I've ever heard of.
It
Because
is very funny.
They're the same people that will discriminate against the community and will like talk down on them. But then here they are self-inserting them into the community, and I'm like, what are they asking for?
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. It literally doesn't
It's
make
quite
any
funny.
sense.
It is quite funny.
Like, that one super straight and super lesbian is that's just fun. That just sounds stupid on its own. That sounds like you're saying, oh, what's it called? Your circle? No, you're a circle. Nah, bro, I'm a super circle. How stupid you sound. Like not only does like that like the fact that it isolates you even more, and like it makes you sound like you try to sound, it makes it, I don't know. I'm trying to like find the words and like make my brain just like focus on one word, but it makes it like you're trying too hard to make yourself seem better.
Mm-hmm.
And then that in and of itself makes it more funny, because they think that they're a part of. No, you're not a part of the gang. I'm so sorry. You create the group to distance yourself, but then insert yourself into the group that you're distancing from. That doesn't make any sense. Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
No one granted them permission to join the Alphabet Mafia. They're not in
Oh
it.
my goodness. Okay, so personally to me, as much as I don't understand why they did it, I kind of understand how it came to be. Especially with recent times where being straight is being labeled as any kind of quote unquote phobic person. I can understand where it came from. I just think the execution was god awful.
So, on that though, I don't think that. So I definitely get it because like what's it called? I definitely participate in it. With not without malicious intentions, but the whole idea of like slandering heterosexuals. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with being a heterosexual. If you're a heterosexual man or woman,
Hmm.
go off, do your own thing, king or queen. However, the thing about it is that the thing about it that's like what's it called that gets slandered for is the toxic part of it to the point where
Mhm.
but where like what's it called? A heterosexual man will see two men kissing. Gross. Or what's it called? Or a heterosexual, yeah, like what's it called? Same thing with a heterosexual woman. Like see two lesbians kissing. Gross. Or they see a transsexual. Oh my god, like you know what I mean? It's that toxic, is that insecurity to where they have to bully other groups. That's where like the slandering comes from. Especially now on social media, like TikTok and Twitter, for example,
Mm-hmm.
where
Cesspools of garbage.
exactly.
Oh
Like
god.
where the toxic I don't know toxic masculinity. That's not the word we're looking for. But like the really toxic and insecure heterosexuals are like absolutely furious, which brought forth the super straight and super lesbian. And I remember I was watching this one TikTok today where like this really big buff black guy and he's like, yeah, I think he's like, yeah, I'm homophobic. What about it? What you gonna do about it? I'm like, how insecure must you be? How insecure? How afraid are you? Like it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. But I don't even know what to I don't even know what to say. Oh my god, the rain outside is so pretty. Okay, sorry, I got distracted.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It
but
was raining pretty nice early, just like 5 10 minutes ago.
yeah, but I didn't even go off on a tangent. But I feel like it's just like the toxic traits that stand out so much more than the what's it called like the what's it called like the idea of being heterosexual. But
Mm-hmm.
also I think it's because up until this year, I feel like up until this year,
We can
um
include last year too, especially during the
this year
during the
last year.
pandemic, especially people have been online way more.
This year and last year, I feel as though like and I don't want to say it because it just sounds wrong, but the idea of like that we're like I feel like we're moving towards a normalized society where you can what's it called? It's normalized to not be like absolutely bashed for coming out of the coming. I'm gonna say coming out of the closet, but what's it called? Coming out as
Mm-hmm.
not straight or like just like finding your identity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then like honestly, I'm happy at the fact that this is being normalized. But the fact that I have to say this is normalized is saddening in itself.
It is. And I feel like
What?
even if, oh,
I
Mhm.
didn't
sorry.
wait. What?
No.
I didn't get. I didn't
like
get it.
I was gonna say on the opposite side of the spectrum, while there's also being normalized to come out.
Mm-hmm.
On the opposite side, it's being normalized for men to. I'm not gonna say wear feminine accessories because realistically, there's no like gender. What's it called? Label for like
Stereotypically.
makeup. Yeah. Stereotypically,
Yeah.
there's like, yeah, we're slow. Society's slowly moving towards a society where what's it called? A guy wearing what's it called? A necklace or like wearing acrylic nails. That's normal. And there's no longer a gender label on it, and I like
Mm-hmm.
that. But I love that a lot. Like that. Like let me tell you this right now. Listen, I'm gonna tell like I can't really say I got acrylic nails because I just hate I don't know, for me
It
long
would
nails
get annoying
uh
fast.
that's just me.
Very hard to use.
Let me tell you, bro. When I learned how to do makeup, oh my god! All I'm saying is I would look sick with freckles. And all I'm saying is when I learn how to do makeup, Diana's gonna teach me. She better teach me. I'm gonna cry.
Oh god.
Bad.
I'll make her. I'll make her
But
do it.
as you shut, you're sitting here, my
I
god.
want to see this.
Patterson with
Right,
freckles.
I
Oh
would
my
look.
god.
Oh my god, I'd look
You would
hot as fuck.
kill.
Right. Oh my god. Oh my god. And the rain's gone. It's so pretty. Anyways, all I'm saying is I look sick and I look hot as hell in freckles. And also like I wouldn't mind pulling up to the store, get some jewelry. Like listen, or what's it called, wearing women's pants. All I'm saying is like as there's this person I watch on TikTok, and he makes the fits work, and I'm like, yo, I want to
I've seen
do
a
that
lot
too.
of dudes like that are like just
I
make
want to
fits
do
work. Oh my god.
yeah,
Like
like
I
I
wish
feel
I could be that drippy sometimes.
and I'm not against the idea either. It's just like I just didn't know
Mm-hmm.
because as I just didn't know, and it's like the fact that it's being brought to like, yo, I would actually do this. It'd be sick as hell. But yeah, that's my. But anyways, back to the main point. It's not like I don't even know how it got here, but like yeah,
Tangents.
um,
Tangents.
tangents. Um, don't like how the toxic part of heterosexuality is standing out more, but I am happy at the fact that um we are moving towards a society where it is normalized to come out and not bully people for figuring out their identity. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I feel
I
like
understand.
with oh, sorry, you go on, go on.
No, it's okay. Sorry.
John, to go.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's your turn.
I feel like with everyone being on the internet so often, I feel like every community's toxic side has become so vocal that it's just hatred coming from every angle, and it's ooh, it's a big yikes. But yeah, that's
See,
all I
I
have to
just
say.
oh, I, what Xavier was saying earlier about kind of normalizing the process of coming out. I feel like even though it's normalized, once you're out, you're still exposed to microaggressions. Like
Yeah.
and people might accept you, but they don't even understand how something they can say can hurt you, especially when you're someone in the closet. Like this is something a lot of people don't understand. In the closet, you're hearing all these terrible microaggressions and you can't even comment on them because then immediately people are going to assume something about you that you're not ready for. So I feel like even though it's becoming normalized, it's not kind of perfect in a sense because the world still isn't fully adapted. The world still hasn't become allies, and I think a lot of people are still afraid to come out, and that's why a lot of people kind of have distanced themselves and have kind of felt a disconnect between the two sides of being straight and being LGBTQ.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Well, like I get what you're saying. Like, it's what's it called? It's progress, but like it's the beginning, so it's gonna be a little bit rough. Like it's two steps forward, one step back, right?
Mm-hmm.
With any amount of
Where
change, there's gonna be backlash, of course.
yeah, I feel like what's it called? Because like this is similar to what me and Sydney were doing in English class a couple weeks ago, where so we were doing a I'm not gonna say seminar, we were doing a fishbowl conversation, and my group we were just like dissecting a poem that went on about how that was like it was sarcastically objectifying women,
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and
I remember that.
yeah, and it wasn't. And so, long story short, by the end of it, what's it called? I make a point about how the author was born in a day and age where, women have just gained equal human rights, just
Mm-hmm.
or similar to in a very like male patriarchy, and what's it called? She was born like a 2 3 years after women like got what's it called obtain equal rights, but even then 60 years it wasn't until 60 years later where like it was a complete one to one,
Mm-hmm.
and like thinking about that, like even after that, like 60 years later, 5 decades. I had to think about that in a minute what a decade was.
Six
But
decades. 60 years is
yeah,
six
say
decades.
6 decades later, it took like 60 years for progress to actually be made. I feel like what's it called? I still feel that it's similar to this. It's gonna. I'm hopefully it's not 60 years. That is like worst case scenario.
We can't do a
But
lifetime of this.
yeah, we absolutely not. I will not stand for that. I will be haunting every super straight from the grave.
Oh
Okay, I don't care.
my
Um,
goodness.
but but basically what I'm trying to say is I'm hoping that obviously at anything the beginning's a little bit rough, but I'm hoping that we can move to what's it called a brighter future quicker, and so that what's it called this whole the what's it called these microaggressions aren't as prominent, if not completely vanish. I can have an open conversation with somebody and have like I'm just chilling in a Starbucks, and I'm talking to somebody I just met. I'm like, hey, so how do you identify? I'm like, oh, I'm gay. I was like, okay, so I'm like, yo, sick. You know what I mean? Like, high five. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, but like,
Mm.
that's something like what's it called. I'm hoping for.
It's the energy we want. Honestly, preach.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I just want to vibe with my homies. You know what I mean?
Of course, of course. Hmm.
Like these periods of silence.
Mm-hmm.
Just to hear.
I'm just
I'm
thinking, because I'm
I'm
like,
drinking water.
yeah,
I ran out of breath.
I'm thinking, because like, how do y'all feel about the toxic people that have been saying, if you're straight, you're transphobic? How do you feel about that?
Um,
Oh, sorry, Sydney, you go before I go on another tangent.
Go
no,
on.
it's okay. Go.
So I I think let's call it speaking on that. Like I'm not gonna say okay. So you said being if you're straight you're transphobic. I think so. In my experience, I've also heard that being bi means you're transphobic, and as a bi male, I'm thinking to myself, um, it's hard for me to answer that question because I'm 17 years old, turning 18. I don't have any exposure into the real world because as of right now, in my experience at least, I don't think anyone my age would be, especially in our school, who have some issues when it comes to non-heterosexuals. But the
Hmm.
point still stands. I don't think I would know anyone who would come out as trans, right?
Mm-hmm.
And or I just don't know anybody, right? I don't know if they'd be confident in doing so. And so for me to hear on the internet, if you're bisexual, you're immediately transphobic because you're not inclusive of the trans community. I sat there for a minute, and I'm not gonna say like, oh my god, I hate trans people. I don't. One, I've never interact. I'm worse for them. I've never interacted with one. But like at the end of the day, there's still people. One, there's still people, and two, in my eyes, I don't see a problem. I don't see a problem with, what's it called, getting into a relationship with a trans woman or a trans man. I don't see a
Hmm.
problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see a problem with it. So I don't like sure like I think the whole idea was I think in the video and the TikTok that I saw, it wasn't inclusive. It wasn't I think it was like the difference between bisexual pansexual, and I don't know if that was I don't know if that was like I don't know, I'm not gonna say community, but I don't know if that's the person like taking the definition too literally.
Mm-hmm.
But in my eyes, I don't see a problem with somebody transitioning over to another gender, because in my eyes, that's just going from a man to a woman or a woman to a man.
Hmm.
And if they're being strict and going by definition, and they're still a man or a woman. There is no there is no difference.
Mm-hmm.
Keep in mind, this is my like I'm not gonna say ignorant take, but I don't have any experience in the matter. I've never had a trans person confess to me, or but I don't see myself being disgusted at that fact, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
they identify as a man, they identify as a woman, they just transitioned over, or they transitioned to the other, right? I don't see an issue with that.
Okay. I've also heard that many people are bashing others who say that they wouldn't per se date a trans person. However, they still support the community. How would you feel about that?
Sydney, you got this.
Go for it.
Yeah, I'm really the best person to respond who's never been in a relationship. Um, like, can you repeat that? Sorry.
Okay, so most people
Yeah.
online have been bashing others, or some people, the loud minority, I should say, have been bashing others for not wishing to date a trans person and calling them transphobic. Do you think that it's still possible to be accepting of the LGBTQ plus trans community specifically while still not wishing to date them or be in relationships with them?
Sounds like you wrote these down.
I didn't. This is all off the top.
The
Jesus.
dome.
I I think it is very important to be supportive of the trans community, but I feel like if you can't, not saying that like if you don't if you don't vibe with a person, if you know what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
not because of any element of their identity, if you just don't vibe with them in that sense, but you can still, remain friends with them, I don't see that as wrong. Um, but I think that you recognize that just because they're trans, is that some sort of personal bias you have against them? That's the reason you don't want to date them? Or is it just, I know some people have physicality preferences, but the thing is, a lot of people that are trans, they do transition physically. So honestly, I don't even know how to answer this because as a person
Mm.
who's never been in a relationship, these are not things I've had to deal with. But
All right, I got
what?
this.
Go on.
Oh, okay. I was gonna finish.
Oh no, sorry, go.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I think it is very important that to be a supportive ally of the trans community, you can't alienate them just because they are trans. You should treat them the same that you would treat a cisgender person. So, if it's their transness that is stopping you from dating them, don't, I don't know how well that would be a trans ally. But as I said, I really don't know situations.
Okay. Patterson?
Please go on, Xavier.
Okay, so I'm not speaking from the perspective of what's it called? As I said, I'm not coming from the perspective of being confessed to by somebody who has either like transitioned or
Hmm.
transitioned. But what was I gonna say? Oh, I feel like this begs the question of whether or not it's preference or hate towards trans people.
Yeah.
Because
Mm.
especially now, I feel as though there's like a fine, especially now, because I think it's a major topic talked about on the internet. I've noticed, at least I found out there's like a very the line between preference and hate is so incredibly thin. But I'm not even thin. I feel like it varies based. I feel like it varies based on the person's ability to articulate why.
Mm.
Because just as Sydney said, when you if somebody I feel you can be heterosexual, because you said what's it called, be somebody being straight and not what's it called, not wanting to be with somebody because they're trans. Is that what you said, John T?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I,
so
I
yeah,
said, can someone be supportive and be an ally while
and
still wishing to only date cis opposite gendered people?
okay, yeah. So like I think it just comes to the person's ability to be able to articulate themselves, or like they need. I feel like I don't. It's preference is what's it called? You need to. I don't know, to understand preference. You need to be able to understand why, but also you need to. I feel like part of you needs to be that other person, because when some, I'm gonna use a different topic. I'm gonna use race, but I'm not gonna hold them to like the same. What's it called? To the same. I'm not gonna value them as the same. Anyways, let's say a black person doesn't has a what's it called, has a preference to not date, has a preference of what's it called, Hispanics over blacks, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not to say, and they would say, it's not that I don't like black, it's not that I don't like black people. They have their own beauty, and I can respect that, and I acknowledge that.
Mm-hmm.
However, to me, I find that Hispanics are more attractive. Now that is and then in my eyes, that is perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
They're not slandering their own race. They're not saying, oh, what's it called, black men, black women, they're so ugly, even
Mm-hmm.
though, like, in and of itself, your parents, your ancestors, they were black. Did you just that
It's
it's like that
hypocrisy,
dumb
yes.
exact, that hypocrisy, right? Are you deeming yourself ugly? Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. Whereas if they were to say, oh, I don't like black people, yeah, as I said, I don't like black people because they're ugly, like they're dark skin, they need to be more like, what's it called, I like light skins more. You know what I mean? They're not as black. They're not as bad.
Mm-hmm.
That is where, like,
Mm-hmm.
that's just absolutely horrible. That you are just a horrible human being for thinking that way. And so, to what's it called, to pivot back into what's it called, whether or not what's it called, somebody being not preferring to date a trans person, whereas in contrast to disliking them, I feel like that comes down to the person. I feel like that comes down to the person being able to identify that within themselves, because as a spectator to this,
Mm-hmm.
I can't really, like what's it called, see a situation, then stamp it as, oh, that's transphobia, or that's a preference, because I just well, not because, it just comes to the person, right? And how they articulate it. Because maybe let's and then let's say I'm just like, this is completely hypothetical. Let's say there's a person, and they are transphobic, but not because it's not their choice. But let's say they had a transphobic upbringing, so
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's subconsciously a part of that. It's subconsciously a part of them.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if they were to, and like, let's say, like, a trans person, or, like, convey their feelings about them and just like seek a romantic relationship, that and they articulate themselves in a way where they what's it called, they don't come out as transphobic.
Mm-hmm.
That's the that like I feel like, where, like, what's it called, oh, it's just, I prefer, no, I prefer, yeah, I prefer, I don't know, like, I don't know how to articulate it. I don't have the knowledge for it. But I feel like with, like, my previous example, which is way easier to describe, you get what I'm saying, right? I feel like it just comes down to, like, how they articulate it,
Okay.
because I can't,
Completely.
because it comes down to, like, how they it just comes down to how they find, how, either, like, if they find them, just they don't find them attractive, or they don't see them that way, or it's they find them, I'm not gonna like, or they find them repulsive in their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Okay.
yeah.
Now, follow up question.
Boy.
Now, I've seen online that many people are bringing up the fact of comfort, that people are uncomfortable with the idea that this person used to be of the same gender as them. Do you feel that is leaning towards the idea of transphobia or leaning towards somewhere else?
Can I take this one, please?
Go ahead.
Go for it.
I'm sorry, that is blatant transphobia. To not, like, who that person is now.
Specifically for dating, I should say, not meeting them, being friends. Specifically for an intimate relationship.
Okay. So I feel like for that I kind of see it as transphobia because that's them kind of still not accepting their identity. Trans women are women. Trans men, they're men. So I think for you to think back, oh, this person used to be this or this person used to be that, that's not you acknowledging their identity, which is transphobia in its most blatant definition, which is not accepting someone for their identity, their gender identity.
Interesting. Okay. I
I
see.
know
I
it's not.
think that's where most people have the most pushback because, at least from what I've seen, people are saying that it with specifically how you worded it, saying that you being uncomfortable with wanting to date someone of that used to be of the same gender as you. People are labeling that as you forcing them to have to date trans people in order to be
No.
considered straight. Of course, I'm not saying you specifically. I'm just saying that
Oh,
rhetoric.
see, doubling back to like with that question, if we bring that back to the whole thing about preference versus discrimination,
Mm-hmm.
that's discrimination because that's not you accepting them for who they are. You can accept them for who you are, but just not personally be interested, like not find them in that sense, kind of like what Xavier was saying. Because everyone finds different people interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like in the case of not wanting to be with them because you're like, oh, they used to that, that's kind of that's more discrimination.
Mm.
That's how I.
Okay, okay. So now my questions. I have a question for you after this, like a follow up to Jonty's follow up. Follow up squared.
Okay.
So I'm hoping this doesn't come off as transphobic. So let's say there's a like I'm not gonna like this person has like what's it called? On previous like my unlike my previous example where like somebody had like a transphobic upbringing and they
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
said like nobody if they like just completely neutral person like this idea has never been brought up to them and so they enter a relationship and it wasn't until actually hold on I have something after this but it wasn't until well it depends circumstances but anyways they enter a relationship and their partner tells them they're trans they transition from let's say I'll go with a female for example they transition from female to male
Mm-hmm.
would it still be considered transphobia with would you call the person transphobic or the society or the what's called the society that they grew up in transphobic for them to process this idea because I'm not gonna say I can't speak I'm not speaking from experience but
Mhm.
I don't find it out of the ordinary for someone to like be for someone to be like I'm not gonna say shocked but like
Distraught, maybe.
not distraught um surprised with
Mm,
this
that's a good word.
information
Yeah.
Yeah.
surprised with this information like because in my eyes I feel like for someone to be like like to be innocently surprised by this fact whether how the person takes it is completely up to them and whether or not they find it whether they're hit with distraught with it that's where I believe you call it transphobia but for them to like just be like just surprised by that fact and take time to consider that information would that be still considered transphobia or would you say that just like what's it called we live in a society where it's not an immediate duh obviously I don't care that you transitioned from female to male vice versa.
I'm gonna be a little optimistic. I'm gonna say I'd hope in situations like that, the person wouldn't care because I feel like after you bonded with someone that way,
Hmm.
them, how can finding out who they are, who and that person, who they are, that's who you fell in love with.
Yeah.
How can all of a sudden you decide you don't love them? So, but then again, I know there's other factors in consideration, but I don't know. I'm an optimist, and I would hope that they would still have no issue with it. And I've seen people who have had those situations happen to them, where they found out and they didn't care. They embraced the person in the same way that they loved them before. But I don't know.
That definitely brings up the question of disclosure and when you feel it should be if it's necessary at the beginning of a relationship, when you first meet the person, when you should feel like, okay, tell them who you are so that you can judge them based off of their reaction.
Well,
I don't.
I, I don't know, because I feel like that's a similar mental. No, Sydney, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like this is like a similar mentality to, let's say, coming out to your parents,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, when I feel like, so if it were me, I would like take in the factors of how, I'm not gonna say I'd like, I feel like I would like ease them into it, and I mean that in the sense of like, I would say, oh, how do you feel about trans people,
Mm-hmm.
or how do you feel about the LGBTQ, or what's it called? How do you feel about seeing two gay men kissing, right? Like, what's it called?
Yeah.
Down the hall. Like, I feel like I would see how they react to that, and then depending on how they react, that would give me the info I need to whether or not I disclose that information to them. Because
I
if they're toxic in that sense, where they would like not only like just like cut off the relationship entirely, but also what's it called, slander me for it, I wouldn't risk I wouldn't risk that, but I wouldn't want that risk, but I also still want the relationship. So I would go on without disclosing that information to them.
Mm. Okay.
see. I I agree with that. Like I feel like it's very important to kind of scope a person out, see if they're toxic, but I think the belief of like that you have to disclose that first thing in the relationship, like that's like coming out, that's a big thing to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I'm stretching this, but for you to have to like go into the relationship and I identify this way. Um, that's that kind of makes me think of like treating it like it's a bad thing. Like when you have a disease and you have to tell people about it, I don't feel like someone's identity should be treated that way. That's it. Honestly, my head makes the connection. It's terrible that no one should have to go into a relationship and be like, "Hey, I'm this," and you need to know that before. Like,
Mm.
I don't know. If someone wants to, that's completely fine. That's their identity. That's their choice. But I feel like the obligation to feel like you have to when you're not personally ready, that's not right. It's like no one should be forced to come out before they're ready.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I feel on the opposite end, withdrawing withdrawing your disclosure could possibly end up putting someone in a more dangerous situation.
Hmm.
How would you feel about that? How do you think about that?
Do you want to maybe extend upon what you mean,
Okay,
Jonty?
so let's say this person is actually like hard blown transphobic, but you don't
Oh.
know that, right?
Hmm.
Do you think that withdrawing that information for an extended period of time, not like a week or two or maybe a month or two, I'm saying like years, many, many years, do you feel withdrawing that information and then possibly finding out, could that possibly, would that non-disclosure put the person in a more dangerous situation than it would have had they disclosed it in the first year maybe?
So now, okay, so I'm going to give it to you like this. So this is like this. I'm not saying this is like within my own relationship, because not even to my knowledge. I know, I feel that I'm not put in this situation at all.
Mm-hmm.
However, as a black male, this is not even a black male, like person of color, but for the sake of conversation and argument,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna use black male. As a black male, um, then this has been what's it called? This has been put in like very, very fictitious situations before, where a person of color who's usually black ends up falling in love with a person who is of Caucasian descent,
Mm-hmm.
and and it isn't until they meet the family that they see a Confederate flag,
Mm-hmm.
or they see that they are hard race, or I think it's like, I think it's right wing, anyways, or like what's called just a hard racist, right?
Mm-hmm.
In that situation, as a black person, I feel as though my life would be in danger,
Mm-hmm.
because for you to proudly wear that Confederate flag means that you are a colorist. You were okay with slavery.
Mm-hmm.
You believe that people of color are below you. You
Mm-hmm.
believe that what's it called, they should be shipped back to their country. And I could just go down the list of what's called aggressions towards that. And so so if I were to take that and like what's it called, put that in like what's it called, a situation in regards to identity, I would feel threatened.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that depends on how much it shows in the person in comparison to their upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the person isn't, and let me go back to my example, if the person isn't a hard racist, then I don't have a problem with that. Because I know there are many situations through other people that where what's it called, they are where their family, their upbringing or their family is racist, but they don't interact with them, so it's not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I feel like at that point it depends on how much it shows through the person that you're interested in, because it's very easy to, because once you become an adult it's very easy to, you're independent, you don't have to, you can make the decision to not see your family, you can decide to separate yourself from those you don't want to, whether
Mm-hmm.
it be for your own for your own what's it called, for the fact that they bring displeasure, or it's a general harm to your safety.
Mm-hmm.
It's complete, it depends on how much, in my eyes it depends on how much it's reflected in the person.
It's a good explanation. I like that.
Yeah, that although you gave some very scary visuals, and it really made me. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That was
No,
like.
no, no, no. I just meant like, because like, obviously everyone can draw their own parallels to that.
Hmm.
But it's like you gave a very good comparison that everyone I feel like understands, especially in the current climate of the world,
Mm-hmm.
or at least should be able to draw some comparison understanding to.
Hmm.
That was honestly good on you. Yeah.
Thank you. But I guess like yeah, in the light of it, I feel like that's just like what's it called? You know, just like a PSA to everyone out there. Like, I don't think that, just keep that in mind, whether or not that be what's it called, you're like what's it called. I'm not gonna advise dating in the beginning of high school. You got to figure your own shit out first.
Mm-hmm.
But um, if you find that you're in that situation, I don't feel like you should be. You feel like you should be like, oh my god, I can't talk to this person ever. Their family's transphobic. Oh my god, no. But like, if the person it's like what's it called, use your own judgment and be smart about it. If you feel like your life, I'm not saying your life, your own safety could be compromised in that situation, deal with it appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
Because sure, like you go over to their house or you meet their family, right, and they show these characteristics of transphobia, racism, what's it called, just like what's it
The
called,
whole
this
works.
the whole works, the full nine yards. um but it's not reflected in your person in the person that you have interest in. I feel just deal with it accordingly and see, like,
Hmm.
if it were me, I would try to make it work. I would try to make it work, because if it's for that person, it's definitely worth it, and there are
Okay.
workarounds around it. So yeah.
Well said.
I think that's a good way to end off today's podcast. Great wrap up.
Oh yeah, honestly, yo, I'm proud of myself.
Good job today.
Honestly, Xavier, you went off
All
multiple
right.
occasions. It was great.
That has been another episode of Meeting Your Mentors. Big round of applause for our amazing guest, Sydney. Hopefully,
For having me.
hopefully, whoever is higher up in the chain will finally start listening to Spectrum about what they wish to do,
Oh,
because
we
she has clearly shown that it's not some immature group. They are very well spoken. They know what they're talking about, and they wish to give that knowledge to other people. So, with that said, thank you for listening, and we are out.